Practical case: customs delays and congestion at the port of Manzanillo, Mexico. Good morning. In this presentation, I will analyze a practical case related to Mexican foreign trade, focusing on customs delays and logistical congestion at the port of Manzanillo, Colima. This port is Mexico's main gateway for maritime trade with Asian markets, especially China, Japan, South Korea, and Singapore. Every day, thousands of Mexican companies rely on its operations to import raw materials, electronic components, machinery, textiles, auto parts, and consumer goods. However, in recent years, the port of Manzanillo has faced several operation challenges, including yard congestion, long lines of freight trucks, customs inspection delays, staff shortage, poor logistic coordination, and extending container release times. Business organizations have pointed out these inefficiencies have significantly increased logistics costs and reduced the competitiveness of Mexico's foreign trade. Even throughout 2025 and 2026, the port continued to experience operational congestions and delays in customs clearance. For this practical case, we will analyze a fictional company called Electromex S.A. of CB, which assembles computers and electronic equipment in the state of Mexico. The company imports electronic components from Shanghai, China, including motherboards, microprocessors, RAM memory modules, solid-state drives, and graphic cards. These purchases are made by C using the FOB, Free On Board Incoterm. Under FOB, the Chinese supplier is responsible for delivering the goods on board the vessel at the port of Shanghai. From that point forward, the Mexican buyer assumed all transportation costs, risks, and responsibilities. After approximately 20 days at sea, the vessel arrives at the port of Manzanillo. However, once the container reaches Mexico, the real problems begins. Due to port congestion, the cargo remains at the terminal for several days, waiting to be unloaded. Afterward, additional delays occur during customs clearance because of document inspections, physical inspection, operational bottlenecks, or limited customs capacity. Meanwhile, the container remains inside the customs facility, generating additional storage charges, demurrage fees, detention charges, and unexpected inland transportation costs. As a result, Electromex begins running out of inventory needed for production. Manufacturing slows down, customer deliveries are delayed, the company loses sales opportunities and damages its reputation. In addition, it must absorb logistics expenses that were not originally included in its operating budget. This case demonstrated how inefficiency in a single link of the supply chain can affect the entire international trade operation of a company. Theoretical justification. Next, we will analyze which Incoterm will be more appropriate to reduce some of the risk involved in this operation. Initially, the company operates under the FOB Incoterm, although FOB is one of the most widely used Incoterms for maritime transportation. It presents several limitations of this scenario. Once the goods are loaded onto the vessel, all risks are transferred to the buyer. This means that Electromex is responsible for arranging ocean transportation, selecting the shipping line, purchasing international cargo insurance, and coordinating the logistics process until the cargo arrives in Mexico. Furthermore, any delays related to ocean transportation, vessel arrival, or logistic coordination directly affect the importer. For this reason, a better alternative would be to use the CIP, carriage and insurance pay to, Incoterm whenever multimodal transportation is involved. Under CIP, the seller arranges international transportation and is also required to purchase comprehensive insurance coverage to protect the goods during transit. Although the buyer remains responsible for customs clearance and import duties in Mexico, the financial risks associated with cargo damage or loss during transportation is significantly reduced. Another viable option is the CIF, cost, insurance, and freight, Incoterm when the shipment is transported exclusively by sea. Under CIF, the seller pays for ocean freight and insurance of the destination port. This reduces the buyer's administrative burden and simplifies logistic coordination at the point of origin. However, it is important to emphasize that no Incoterm can eliminate problems caused by port congestion or custom delays. Incoterms only define how responsibilities, cost, and risk are allocated between the buyer and the seller. Therefore, in addition to selecting a more suite of Incoterm, companies must implement broader logistics improvements throughout their supply chain. Logistic proposal. To reduce the impact of this situation, a comprehensive logistic strategy based on 4 key areas is proposed. First improvement. International transportation planning. The company should avoid relying exclusively on the port of Manzanillo. During periods of heavy congestion, it should evaluate alternative ports, such as Lázaro Cárdenas, to distribute cargo more efficiently. It is also advisable to schedule imports further in advance and maintain safety stock levels. This way, delays of several days will not completely interrupt production. Second improvement, storage optimization. The company should minimize the amount of time containers remain inside the customs facility. To achieve this, all customs documentation should be prepared before the vessel arrives. The company may also use off-site container yards after customs clearance to avoid paying excessive storage fees at the port. Additionally, it is recommended to monitor key logistics performance indicators, including average customs clearance time, container dwell time, daily stage cost, inventory turnover, on-time delivery performance. Third improvement, faster customs clearance close coordination with the customs broker is essential. All required documentation should be submitted before the vessel arrives to reduce inspection times. The company should also use digital systems to exchange information in advance and maintain constant communication among the importer, shipping line, customs broker, training company, and customs authorities. Proper documentation planning can significantly reduce time at the port. Fourth improvement, risk management. The company should establish a comprehensive contingency plan. Recommending actions include diversifying suppliers, using multiple ports of entry, purchasing appropriate cargo insurance, maintaining strategic inventory levels, developing logistics risk maps, continuously monitoring transit times. These measures will make the company much more resilient to future supply chain disruptions. In conclusion, this case demonstrates that international trade depends on much more than ocean transportation or customs clearance alone. Every link in the supply chain is interconnected. When one stage becomes inefficient, the impact spreads through the entire international operation. The delays experienced at the Port of Manzanillo clearly show how port congestion can lead to higher storage costs, increased logistic expenses, production delays, failure to meet customer commitments, and reduce competitiveness for Mexican companies. Furthermore, this analysis demonstrates that selecting the appropriate Incoterm, improving logistic planning, optimizing storage operation, and ensuring efficient customs clearance are essential for strategies for reducing risk in international trade. Finally, I believe that companies should no longer focus solely on moving goods across borders. Instead, they must manage their entire supply chain strategically. International logistics has become a key competitive advantage, and organizations that successfully anticipate risk, diversify their operations, and continuously improve their logistics processes will be better prepared to face the challenges of today's global trade environment.